Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to The Walk. Today is Thursday, July 17th, and we are up to Hebrews chapter 8, verse 6. And we're going to be moving into a section here. The ESV Fire Study Bible had a really good note for this, and this covers verse 6 through 13, and it says, a major theme in chapters 8 through 10 is the contrast between the Old Covenant that was centered around the law of Moses and the new covenant that was instituted by Jesus Christ. So we're going to see a whole lot of comparison of Old Testament, New Testament, Old Testament, New Testament, and why it was so important that Jesus died on that cross and rose from the dead. So verse 6 says, but as it is, Christ has obtained a ministry that is as much more excellent than the old as the covenant he mediates is better, since it is enacted on better promises. I don't know about you, I had to read that many times before I really understood it. So this ministry that Christ has obtained is more excellent than the old because he mediates that Old Testament into the New Testament. It is enacted, that New Testament is based on better promises. So right away, I wanted to talk, get you thinking about what does it mean to mediate? So when I went to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it said it means to intervene between people in a dispute in order to bring about an agreement or reconciliation. So an example would be Wilson attempted to mediate between the powers to end the war. So then I went and I looked at it in the Greek and I got a little bit more understanding of what this mediate means. The word is mesites, and in Thayer's it says it is one who intervenes between two, either in order to make or restore peace and friendship, or form a compact, or for ratifying a covenant. The second definition is a medium of communication, an arbitrator. Strong's definition was a go-between, that is an internunciator or a reconciler, a mediator. So we've already seen that the writer of Hebrews has developed that the Old Testament was inadequate. What does Christ mediate? What is this verse talking about? He mediates that Old Testament insufficiency and says, I am the culmination of that Old Testament, and now you have an eternal high priest. That's what that mediation is, and that's what that talks about. In the Cultural Study Bible, it's had this to say, is as noted in 7:12, the old priesthood was tied to the old law and its covenant. If the former was superseded or transformed by a greater priesthood guaranteed by God's oath, the latter would also be changed. What was superseded might point to eternal principles, yet it was itself imperfect. So what this is saying is that the New Testament, the New Covenant, is more excellent than that Old Testament covenant because now we have this greater priesthood in Jesus Christ. Verse 7 had this to say, for if the first covenant had been faultless, there would have been no occasion to look for a second. So stop and think that through. If that Old Testament truly gave us full access to God, gave us access to those spiritual gifts, the guidance of the Holy Spirit, if we had had everything we have in the New Testament covenant and the New Covenant with the Old Covenant, then there wouldn't have been a reason to send Jesus. There were things that were missing. What was missing was having Jesus come in and be the culmination of that Old Covenant. Keep in mind that Old Covenant, all through that Old Testament, we've got prophecy that the Messiah is coming. That New Covenant is the culmination of that Old Covenant, making the relationship that we have with God everything that it should be. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.